Hello everyone, welcome to week 7 of the weekly race guide here in Gran Turismo, and yes, we are getting very dirty today as you can see in the background. But let's have a look at the race details first of all. We are racing 4 laps here at Colorado Springs. We have a grid start, we are on dirt tyres, reason for the dirty, and then the usual settings. Now you have a choice of cars, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 4 1996 or the Subaru Impreza WRX Type R99. Now, if I was you, I'd pick the Subaru. There was only one Evo in my race and everyone else was in the Subaru, so yes, and Subaru's dominating the time trials as well. Pick the Subaru, pretend you're Colin McRae or Richard Burns and absolutely go for it in it. Now, this race is not a race I would particularly do if you are scared about penalties, DR or anything of the like. I couldn't drive this for toffee. I imagine a lot of people, especially the further down you go, will struggle with certain parts of the circuit. But hey, let's have some fun anyway. Let's jump to that race. Here we are then on the grid. You don't need traction control here, by the way, folks. Just set your torque to 50-50. That's what I did anyway. And I'll give you some tips in terms of how to drive these cars. You can see mostly in Subaru Imprezas. Now, critically here, there's not going to be a track guide for race A, mainly because it's going to take me an age to really look into the track and really build up on that knowledge. So, we're just going to talk about little tips that you can do with the Subaru to improve your driving. Tips that I did when I was at the World Tour event in Paris in 2019, where we did a rally event. You know, we raced Fisherman's Ranch, which obviously is the Nürburgring of the rally world. Anyway, we come, or rallycross world, should we say? Well, rallycross and rally, isn't it? So, coming through here, you see Consta up ahead of us here. There's a few people up ahead. And the critical thing with these cars is it's about going forward, not sideways. As much as you want to go sideways, you will notice most people, especially the quicker guys on the time trial board, are not going sideways. They're mainly trying to keep the car stable and going forward. Same principle in any rally situation in Gran Turismo. It's all about going forward, getting that traction, which is why my torque is set to 50-50. I've also put my brake balance towards the front. I think it's on -2, but brake balances are all in the description if you're interested in that, as Consta, trying to get past Consta at the moment, which we were looking good. Look at this, good side-by-side action. But again, that's just to make sure the rear doesn't oversteer and get efficient braking, because as we know in Gran Turismo, if you have a little bit of slip in braking or accelerating, you lose a lot of efficiency and therefore time, which obviously, we're in a race, we need the best time we can get. As you can see, we're bouncing up and down here in towards the right hand. There we go. And we've got a few drivers up ahead of us. Let's see what moves we can make. See Quinton there, P7. Quinton back in the thick of it. Oh, we just touched the invisible barriers there. It's kind of a big problem with the rally courses, if I'm honest. Invisible barriers, obviously they're to stop you hitting the mounds and stuff, but sometimes they stick out a bit too much or much further than you expect. As you can see, we're all very close and it's been fairly clean, if we're honest. However, I would say that in general, you're not going to have this kind of racing. It's going to be very much more everyone going off, going wide. You see Aguinator goes wide there. I make loads of mistakes during this race. As you can see, we're getting very close to Tilbs here, who just hits that invisible barrier there, goes out wide. Consta overtakes both of us. Lovely move around the outside there by Consta. And then we head into the braking zone. And Tilbs somehow manages to save the car there when it was over 90 degrees the wrong direction. So shout out to you for that save. Come into here then. See the logs on either side, and we're coming through here and we get hit by an invisible wall, so Tilbs goes straight through. Game fortunately goes us in a very nice place there, so Tilbs doesn't actually spear into us because it was our fault. Technically, we hit that wall, even though it doesn't technically exist, but anyway, we continue on with the racing. As you can see, we're trying to keep the car as straight as possible, get through the corners as efficiently as possible, heading into this left then. Now, we're actually going to start punting people here, accidentally by the way, but yeah, it's just from not knowing the circuit that well. I normally do Wreckfest on here, not an actual race. So going down here, don't stick to the left here, because when you jump like that, you notice you lose all efficiency. I accidentally hit Tilbs there because my car was in the air. I can't actually brake. As much as I want to brake, I can't. So you need, on that little down uphill section, stay on the right hand side, you know, make sure you're on the gravel there. On the left, it's just like this spike on the hill. It's a bit dreadful, to be honest. So once again, we get it all wrong there into that right-hander. Just pushed a little bit too hard. As you're in the only Evo here, trying to get past as well. Actually, we're driving this terribly. It's why I'm not doing a track guide. It's all about feel to some extent, as Tilbs then goes off wide there. Consta actually got a penalty in this, a penalty that probably not deserved again. From when I looked at it, it was just the slightest of taps. Again, that goes back to the video yesterday if you watched that. You know, should collision penalties be removed? I don't know. I mean, I think in this lobby, if you are risking DR, if you're doing this race A, you really are risking it. You can see here, cars are all over the place, left, right, just everywhere. There's no real racing line to follow, as much as you might think you want to know it, or like to know the racing line. It's not there, as we're about to find out here, as I go flying again, because I forget, and... wasted! Yes, indeed. So we'll just end it there. So that's race A for you in a nutshell. Let's head to a better race. Let's head to race B, where we're in Japan at Fuji, if you don't recognize the circuit in the background. Let's have a look at the race details first of all. We're racing 4 laps here at Fuji. It's a rolling start, and we are continuing with that softer tyre as we are on the racing mediums and all the usual settings as well. So here at Fuji, we're racing in Group 4. Now, unusually for Group 4, you can pick any car you like, and it will genuinely work and be able to race here at Fuji, which is unusual. I saw all sorts of cars during this. You're actually going to see my second race, as the first race was atrocious. There was a bit of bad driving in there, and I drove like an absolute moron. I was a pleb. I kept cutting the corner. I kept getting penalties. So I ended up at the back of the grid. So I was like, I'll go again. Turned out it was in your favour I went again, because this is one entertaining race. Let's jump to that now. I'll talk you through some tips, tricks, the race, and a lap guide. Here we go. Then look at that, a WRX on pole. Yes, you are seeing that right. We've got 650S, a Viper, an F-Type, an M4. Look at that, the top 5 different cars. That's what I mean. Pick what you like. We've got a Tenza at the back, and me second to last, which is where I belong, being a pleb and all that. So this is my second race, as I just said, and a bit of an interesting one, this one, because the driving at the start is super clean and actually brilliant racing, and then it gradually goes downhill, and you're actually going to see the majority of this race as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this race as we set off here then. So the BMW got some pace here. I think I was over revving it slightly, and yeah, brake balance in the description if you want to know what brake balance I was using. Going to head towards turn 1, straight to the lap guide, of course, because it's race B. And on the left hand side, you have that stand there. So I'm braking a little bit early here. Normally I brake as the stand, the bottom of the stand, gets to the edge of my screen. I'm braking early here, start of the race. I didn't want to rear end the McLaren up front. McLaren actually broke where I normally brake. Sorry. They did slow down the car there, let's put it that way, and they went for the dive on the Swiss driver, who saw it at the very last minute. So shout out to this Swiss driver, very well aware of what was going on in their surroundings. As we head to turn 2, I look for that orange dab on the right. Yes, I do. I know people don't look for that, but I brake just before this. Basically, you can see I'm braking just before it, and then I turn in. You can use the fence on the left, which is also very helpful, as you saw somebody off to Narnia there. And that was a really good join, actually, by the French driver. You know, they came on very softly. It gave everyone a good awareness there that they were coming back on. So, you know, shout out for that one as well. Heading towards this left-hander. Brake just before the 50 here. You can see I'm fully on here, so I'd be braking at this point very hard. But before the 50, you're braking on the 50, you're going wide. So we're having a good race with the Swiss driver at the moment. As I say, a shout out to you. So, gave me enough room there, brilliant driving, and looks like we're potentially going to get this as we head down towards the chicken once again here at Fuji. I don't really like this layout, to be honest. I prefer the other one. This one's a bit of an awkward corner. Good overtaking spot, but your brake marker for it is the orange paint on the barrier there on the right hand side. Nice and easy. It's a bit further ahead than the thing above you here, the gantry, and yeah, it's helpful. So in we go. We have to brake a little bit early there just because we're racing the Aston there. Again, brilliant racing with the Aston driver. And through we go. Now we get to our favourite brake marker. On the right, we have that light or tannoy. Whatever it is, it's the one I always use for this right-hander. I point it out every single time, and this is no exception. So use that on the right-hand side. And if you can, clip the curb a bit more than I did there. Heading towards this left, it's the end of this exit curb on the left-hand side. That's when you want to start braking. And you sort of trail braking here. Really like half braking, quarter braking. Really trying to just slow the car down so you can get turned in and clip the curb. A little bit more than I do there, I would recommend. The final corner, the right side, you're looking for orange again. It's the orange paint on the right hand side. Nice and easy to spot, very easy to use. And there's lots of different lines for this corner, but the recommended line, as you can see all up ahead, is a wide line in to get a good exit out the corner, rather than a tight one in and a tight out, because you'd just be slower down the straight. And obviously everyone's got slipstream here. So we're going to push on with the racing now. So as I say, initially, you know, that first lap there with Massimo, brilliant racing, you know. Spotted the McLaren driver going for it down the inside. Good awareness. And we had good side-by-side action. However, the race starts to gradually go downhill from this point on. So grab your popcorn. In towards turn 1 we go. So Kevin tries to outbrake the McLaren there. It doesn't quite work out. Massimo just outbrakes himself as well, but actually stops the car and lets everybody go. So again, shout out to you. Brilliant driving there. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here, get to all the nice points. So through we go. And this Kevin driver, very questionable driving, I've got to be honest. So try to outbrake the McLaren there. So I'm going to go down here, and then instantly comes back across there. I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit awkward, and yeah. So I just thought, okay, maybe it's just a one-off thing. Trust me, it's not a one-off. We're about to see more of this. Weirdly, they questioned it. So the McLaren driver said, Kevin, dirty driver, in chat, and then he questioned his driving, which is a bit weird, to be honest. So it shows you with the video yesterday that some people aren't even aware. But obviously, it's opinion. Is someone dirty, is someone clean? As we go past the Spaniard here, he's just taking a penalty. So I was approaching Kevin, I was like, I need to go on the inside here, otherwise he's not... But there was still movement there, still moving to the right. So he sort of stopped moving, then moved again. Bit awkward, so I was like, okay, he's going to run deep here. Let's try and get on the inside. And I was like, no, I don't want to be here. Nobody wants to be here on the outside. It's the one you're questioning. As you was about to see, starts pushing me, constantly trying to turn right here. And I'm like, no, you can't turn right anymore. I'll be on the grass. So I keep pushing left there. It really slows me down for that corner. And now I've got the Spaniard in the Jaguar on my outside here. So some good clean racing there on that right hander, and then in towards the left. So we're on the outside here. Jaguar goes for a bit of outbraking there, gets the job done, accelerates to really, stop me going any further there. It was actually a really good move there by the Spaniard to do that. As we're then going to head down here. So this is all getting very exciting suddenly. Oh, look at this. We're 2 by 2. Hurrah, hurrah. In towards the right hander we go. And the McLaren does a very sneaky move there. It's a brilliantly well executed move there. Sort of round the outside of me onto the inside of the Spaniard. Now McLaren has some good brakes. I don't particularly like that McLaren personally. Not the driver, I mean the car. But you can see Kevin again try to block the German. So it's just trying to move over at the last second to block drivers. Came back on there, bit of dirty tyres there. Unfortunately for Kevin, that is going to be him out of this pack of racing, because he's going to be way back there with dirty tyres. Probably more bad driving than dirty driving, because he wasn't really aware of it. But even so, we continue on. We did do a video on bad versus dirty driving, as Israel just nudges Massimo out there. So line astern then in the slipstream, and that Aston Martin going to show its pace here as well. Look at that, not even in slipstream, and yeah, we're not catching it at all. It pulls in to make it full line astern now as we head on to the final lap then. Once again, 2 by 2 in towards the first corner we're about to go. And trust me, it gets more exciting as we go through this race. In we go. McLaren goes a little bit deep this time. There's room on the outside so everyone survives. Once again, we're still side by side. Not sure Massimo realised I was there then. Realised his last second maybe, not too sure. So I'll back out of this a little bit. No point being on the outside for this corner, as I always say. I thought I was going to get a penalty for that. That's where I got the penalties in my first race. Kept cutting that corner really annoyingly. Anyway, the McLaren's on the outside here, so we're looking to try and get it sorted on the inside. Remember, don't brake for that corner. I forgot to mention that in the track guide. Do not brake for that right-hander. You should just roll through the corner, balancing the throttle only. Through we go, right behind the Aston at this point, a moment in time. Try to get both words out at the same time then. And we continue on then down towards the chicken here. Let's see what we can do. In towards the braking zone we go. McLaren go for the outbraking again. It's good brakes on that McLaren. I've got to say, I didn't realise how good it was at braking. They go side by side. So I realised what was happening here, and I knew they were both going to go left. I was like, okay, I'll get in on the action here. Down the inside here. And then I sort of realised it was going to be 3 wide, so I sort of half backed out of the Aston. McLaren just turned in on me there. Gave space on the exit. Unfortunately for me, the McLaren's going to oversteer a bit, but then just plant the foot and then just run me off the circuit, which is a bit frustrating there. It's like, well, I gave you space, mate. Come on, give me a bit of space. That's not really very nice, was it? So that cost me, unfortunately, P11. And that's going to be the end of the race, unfortunately. I'll say a very weird one, because it started off very clean and got a little bit touring car-esque, I would say. Touring cars, yeah, it's probably the best description of the end of that race. But even so, quite an entertaining race for you folks, I think, and much better than the first race. But that is going to be it. Congratulations, Jono, for the win. But let's head to Italy now for race C. Yes, we are at Monza for this race. So, you know, we've got dirt in race A. We got a little bit of dirty driving in race B. Are we going to get dirty racing and driving in race C? Well, let's find out shortly. Let's look at the race details first of all. We're racing 10 laps here at Monza. It's a rolling start. It's racing mediums and hards this time, although apparently when this race first started, PD had softs in there and everyone was getting a minute penalty. That's kind of funny, really. Fuel usage times 2, tyre wear times 10. That's all you need to know. Don't save fuel, and you will have to pit at some point in this race. Group 3, interesting one. There seems to be a meta coming out in the past few weeks, especially with the bot change, in terms of a car choice. Now, I went with the Corvette. A lot of people went with the Corvette. It was dominating the leaderboards. It appears to be the meta at the moment, this Corvette C7. Let's jump to the race then. I'll talk you through some tips, tricks, and once again, a lap guide. Here we are then at the start of the grid, as I say. Corvette, P1. P2, P3. We've got a V12 Vantage in there, P4. However, the Corvette, I would argue, is definitely the car choice here to go for, as you'll see throughout this race. Now, I accidentally started on race mediums because I forgot that you can't change it just before the race. This is going to be interesting, that's for sure, because obviously the harder tyres were what I would normally start on, being this far back on the grid. Now, I have put in a request to potentially get that time extended so you can change tyres. We'll see if that happens. It would be a nice change in my opinion, just so you can change your tyres before starting the race, and all will be good. So as you can see, we're catching Quinton here, who's in the SLS. It looks like a very mean SLS, I must say, Quinton. As we head down towards turn 1, and I get on the inside here. Quinton losing a little bit of slipstream there in pace. Here towards the braking zone we go. Quinton goes for the out braking here, gets it stopped. I nearly understeer into Quinton, but we all survive, and we leave that corner fine and dandy. So, you know, no change in position here. I realise that a lot of these guys in front of me are going to be on hard tyres, so I do need to start making moves fairly quickly. And yes, let's see what happens then. Heading towards the chicane. I'm going to come in towards the braking zone here, and everyone braked early, as you know, expect. I outbroke myself a little bit. Well, I say that, but I made the corner, but I realised I was going to hit Quinton. So I sort of veered to the left a little bit just to, you know, make sure I didn't hit Quinton. I knew I was going to make the corner. Quinton obviously realised that because he whacked his hands on there to say thank you for not hitting me. And we continue racing, and you can see we're very close to Quinton as well. Look at this. Look how close we are to Quinton. I don't want to make a move into Lesmo 1 or 2 because it's pretty pointless. Same for Ascari, really. You don't really want to make moves in towards Ascari. It's I've always thought about this. If you're in a fast car, you can overtake people on the next 2 straights. There's no real need to. Heading towards Ascari then. There's a Ferrari going quite slowly here, so Mew Mew went for the move. Quinton went for the same move, just outbroke himself a little bit here. Hit Mew Mew, that slows everyone down. A penalty which probably is actually a fair penalty. You know, there was a contact there was a collision, and we gained 2 positions from it. Happy days, and we're about to go for the overtake on Mew Mew. I must apologise to Elizura here, because I didn't realise Elizura was so close to me, slightly tapped me as he was going for the further outside run, but even so, we continue on through there, and yeah, up to P14, so not too bad. At this point I'm like, okay, I just need to push on now. Hopefully I won't get overtaken towards turn 1, which was on my mind, but even so, we're just going to stay in a straight line here, stay on the racing line, and we're going to go into the track guide as well for you lovely, beautiful people. So heading towards turn 1 here, left hand side, the most famous markers I use at turn 1, the 150 metres board, usable in every game. And it's normally the braking point in every game. So that's the marker I picked, the 150 metre board. Obviously, depending on tyre wear and such, it depends on what you use here. So you want to cut a lot of the first part. If you can get a bounce on the second part, it might get you around a little bit. Be careful that oversteer on exit. And we're behind Captain Slow. Why is it in every single game I play, when I'm at Monza, I'm racing either James May or Captain Slow? Like, you know, I know it's not exactly the same person, but apparently James May likes Monza. Who knew? Anyway, heading towards turn 2. On the right-hand side, you look for that orange tip at the end of the barrier there. That's what I'm using here. Yes, I'm braking earlier than that because I'm on the inside of a car. I can't exactly just go piling in there as if I'm on the normal racing line. As you see, we're going to get it stopped a little bit too early, to be honest. And through we go up into P13. Happy days. We didn't really lose that much time either. Now we did Captain Slow. So we continue on. You see the Skull Crusher up ahead. Now, before we get to that, 50 metre board here. I don't normally use this. However, if this does get taken out, go back to my, you know, normal marker here. Right inside the trees there. Lovely amount of trees there to use for brake markers. Through Lesbo when we go then. You can use quite a lot of that exit as well. And then we head towards the second one. Now, I use either the tree on the right, which is what I normally use, or the 50 metre board here. I'm using the tree. If I'm honest, I always look for that tree. I'm turning on a right-hander anyway, so I'm looking towards the right. So it's just on my vision even more so than normal. Skull Crusher giving me a nice little indicator to say pass left. Thank you very much. We're going to have an interesting problem here. Now, notice this. So I couldn't go left because Walker was there. I had to just come alongside and sort of brake right behind Kaleido here. You have to brake sometimes, folks, in a straight line. It's just inevitable. For Ascari, by the way, use the orange tip at the end of the barrier there. That is your brake marker. Obviously, you're in a bit of a weird situation here. We've already had to slow down the car a lot to gain a position there as 2 cars were taking a penalty. But, you know, sometimes you have to brake, and I thought that was actually very smart of me not to try and go for the move there. So, you know, I raced quite smart for a change. How about that? Head towards the Parabolica now for this one, and we're behind the Portuguese driver. We're going to stay behind the Portuguese driver for this one, and heading towards there, you're going to look for the 100-metre board or use the tannoys or the lights, whichever one you want to use. You've got tannoy on the left, lights on the right. Pick your place in between the 100 and the 50-metre board, and you should have a golden opportunity there in terms of braking. Now, keep it tight until you get to this second light on the right. Now, this is critical, right? That is my acceleration point. That's the thing I use all the time as a marker to know I should be accelerating at that point. Normally, you get round in most cars, especially on your own, when you get to that point, you can flat it and it should go. So it's just a marker you can use on the Parabolica to help you get round and know when to accelerate. Just going to go for the move on the Aston there. A quick, easy move there. Kaleido doesn't fight it too much, which is smart, I would say. And actually, I'm going to give Kaleido a huge shout out for this one. He basically super smart during all of this, as you'll see later on. So we nail the first part here. We come through the second part, and this is what can happen on the exit. If you get caught by the gravel, it just drags you in there. So just be careful of that. Kaleido's probably going, oh, blimmin' actage. Why blimmin' it again? Oh, I let you go then, and you could have carried me along. Unfortunately, Alejandro is a bit too far behind to have an impact here, so we continue racing. I wasn't going to go for the move here. You see, I'm letting off there. Race smart here. Monza is always a track where if you race smart, you will gain positions more so than just fighting on every single corner. Trust me, you can see the penalties up ahead. You race smart, you're going to catch up to those penalties, and you'll be in the fight for P8 suddenly. Otherwise, we'd be fighting for P10 still. So RXE goes defensive here. Acceptable, I would say. You know, gets to Ascari first. Good defensive driving, so we're now thinking, right, what can we do here? But look at this, Finnish driver, come on! Oh my word, that scared the life out of me. And weirdly, it's like I hit them because they went spinning. But I didn't get a penalty, and they were technically ghosted. I know, it was really weird, I've got to say, I was confused by it. But hey, we're up to P9 now, so we're gaining places. In towards the right we go then, in Parabolica. Again, I'm looking for that light there, so I'm looking to accelerate. Notice I realised I was understeering a bit, so I let off and then went again. That's the light I'm looking for. Right, here we go then. So we've got the Aston Martin up ahead. We've got RXE in there as well. We're going to go for the move or not. Obviously, we've got to play it safe here where possible. You notice we're not really pulling up alongside. No point going for a dive or anything here. So we're just going to brake a bit earlier than our normal marker. Notice we trail brake there. And I sort of darted out the way then. That wasn't to go for a move at all. It was just to avoid hitting Kaleido if I misjudged it slightly. And we don't make it through there. A little tap. I was scared about a penalty. I will be honest. But we made it through and we can continue racing. Happy days here. Happy, happy, happy days. We're doing quite well in this race, to be honest. I realise I've got to make more places here because I've got all the mediums behind me, technically. But we go for a move on the Aston here. And Kaleido just backs out of this. Again, I would argue probably a smart move. Too wide into here never really works. It's very hard to do. I think Kaleido could have maybe fought it if he wanted to and you wouldn't lose too much time. But again, it's good to, you know, decide to take control of that situation, back out of it and fight another day. Very worthwhile running on lap 4, really. So through here we go. So I'll brake a little bit early here, just so I don't rear end RXE. I had raced RXE in my first daily race B, and I realised their braking was a bit different to mine, which is why I was a bit cautious on braking. There's never going to go for a move here. They went defensive, which is fine, but I really didn't want them to go defensive. That's why I'm sort of just staying here. I really don't want to be making moves at Ascari. I really don't. So through there we go. We just get that a little bit wrong. The bounce was a little bit off, so we lose a little bit of time here. And Kaleido, a big thank you to you for this, mate, because you didn't have to do that. Gives me a little nice bump draft. How about that, folks? How kind. Thank you so much. And in towards the right hander we go. So we're behind RXE here. I wanted to use RXE down this straight, but unfortunately RXE just goes off a little bit there. So we're going to be on the inside here, and I was concerned there about Agonators coming on lap 4 in terms of hard tyres. But I was concerned about drivers behind here because I didn't have slipstream at all then, and you can see the arrows coming up behind me here. Kaleido again, a huge thank you, gives me a nice little bumper draft there, and straight into turn 1 we go, and yeah, I get that position up into P. Steve. Happy days. Through we go, and Kaleido and RXE are going to have a bit of a ding dong battle behind then. And yeah, we're going to continue racing. You just see that there. We're going to speed up a little bit here because we've got some more action coming up very shortly. You see we're purple there. We were actually going quite quickly here, to be honest. So you see a yellow flag. Oh no. So this is something to be careful of. That exit of last mode 2. Sparky wasn't careful enough, unfortunately. Went spinning off to Narnia. And again, I'm not going to go for the move here. You can see Ascari. I never go for the move at Ascari. I just don't see the point. Going 2x2 here. I mean, you could argue I would have actually made that even before Ascari, but again, I'd rather just not have the awkwardness. Yeah, okay, I might lose 3-4 attempts, but it's better than losing a second if I get it slightly wrong, trying to go side by side through Ascari. Again, I don't really want to overtake here. I'm nowhere near anyway, to be honest with you. We are pulling up, but I might as well just do it on the straight. There's no reason to go for the overtake here. We have another straight line. The German doesn't have slipstream up ahead. Racing smart here. I'll just go for the move. However, that's not going to happen anymore because the German decides to come in the pits here, which I thought was a little bit early for mediums, if I'm honest, and it turned out to be the right decision for me to stay out that little bit longer. I argue that I came in 1 lap too late here, so it's lap 7 now. I think lap 6 is the critical time to change. You can't go the extra lap, so obviously I'm just trying to avoid all the traffic behind at this moment in time. Currently in P2. So let's have a look at the gap here. So it's 5.4 seconds the gap, and we're going to do it all the way to the braking zone now in terms of distance to the leader. That's how I determine how long a pit loss is. 4 seconds, and I've lost it already. So that is 7 seconds basically. 7 second pit loss time. There you have it. So you can decide that as you will. Look at how long 7 seconds is on the track map. Identify gaps, fill in those gaps, and really push on. Anyway, nothing much happened in the race after that. We were sort of in our own little world, and that is the end of Monza. So we had no crazy Monza turn 1. We had smart driving throughout the field. We had a lot of crashes in there and a few penalties given out, but you can see the penalties on the right side. But that is it. That was actually a really good fun race. And actually, I think Monza might be quite good this week with that strategy in there as well. I was looking for Quinton at this point. Where's Quinton? There he is, P16. But that is going to be it for this week, folks. As always, I do hope you've enjoyed this weekly race guide. Lots of content coming this week. But in terms of content right now that you can watch, there is a live stream there from Ollie. If you want to go check out Ollie's live stream of the daily races as they happen. I've got another video there if you want to check out the penalty system. But that is going to be it for me now, folks. Please like and subscribe to help me get to that 20k. I'll see you again very soon. Au revoir!